She lives and works in Brooklyn. She's trained as a painter, but she shifted to producing digital, print, and multimedia installation work in the early 90s. She's the recipient of several awards, including the 2005 New York Foundation of the Arts Grant, and Merge 7 Fellowship from Algira, which is in Newark, by the way, a great little place, and Chashama Area Visual Arts Studio Award in New York. She's exhibited in solo and group exhibitions nationally and internationally. Her recent solo exhibitions includes What Is Not On My Mind at Pablo's Birthday Gallery in New York and Jezebel at the Boulder Museum Park. Features on Carla's work have appeared in the New York Arts Magazine, Res Magazine, Animal Magazine, 11211, and Collezione Edge. And her work has been reviewed in the New York Times, the LA Times, the Miami Herald, the Daily News, the Village Voice, and others. She is currently assistant chairperson of the Department of Digital Arts at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. That is a hell of a resume. Please welcome.
Nice to meet you. The title of my talk today. So you have all these prompts. If you noticed them on Facebook, the title of my solo show last year, What's Not on My Mind, was a response to the What's on Your Mind that you see at Facebook. It always prompts you before you enter something. And so in response to Twitter, and notice I love puns, I wanted to be wittier than Twitter, so I'm Twittier. And then what happened that made you this way? The idea, the reason I'm posing that question, one, kind of recontextualizing the prompt that you get from something like a Twitter feed, it's also as artists, isn't there, generally this assumption, like, well, why are they an artist? They had to have something happen in their childhood, or they're a little crazy, or something like that, And so I'm posing that question. I also do a search, and my search is, what am I searching for as an artist? Authenticity, like everyone else, because what do we know today? I've been doing a series of just Google searches where I'll search something that I think is really original, and then I'll take account of how many other people have posted about it, usually thousands. So, but that quest for authenticity, I think, is still very significant for an artist. And so now I'm going to quote someone else, Jim Jarmusch, the filmmaker. Nothing is original. Steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration or fuels your imagination. Devour old films, new films, music, books, paintings, photographs, poems, dreams, random comments. This work, this entire body of work, was based on the archetype Jezebel. So how many of you guys have heard the name Jezebel before? And what do you think when you hear it? Wanton woman, devilish, all these different things. I'm from the South, I'm from a really small town, and to be called a Jezebel in the town I grew up in, ooh, that would be an insult. But I became really interested in this. I was flying down to Savannah to give a talk at my art, and I started reading this article about Betty Davis and this film she was in called Jezebel in 1938. And it's about this woman in the South who goes to an antebellum ball in a red dress instead of a white dress. And she's a virgin, so that's, just scandalous. And I was like, really? That's scandalous? And I just started thinking about Jezebel, the archetype Jezebel, and that led to this work. Well, she starts off as Queen of Israel, and this is a print from that piece. And so she's Queen of Israel. She's a polytheist in a monotheist land. Monotheism is rising. She wages war against them. She gets thrown out of the window, and dogs eat her. So it's pretty scary and gothic. So taking from that, I appropriate something that's, an old etching, and I appropriate and kind of come up with my CSI version of it, right? And this is actually using myself. As you see that first self-portrait of me, later I kind of use myself again and again. Quote from David Lynch. I learned that just beneath the surface there's another world, and still different worlds as you dig deeper. I knew it as a kid, but I couldn't find proof. It was just a feeling. There is a goodness in those blue skies and flowers, but another force. A wild pain and decay also accompanies everything. So, all that said, and giving you some subtext, I thought about, well, who really thinks anything significant about a woman going to a ball in a red dress instead of a white one in the 21st century? Who cares, right? How can that really resonate for us? But it would resonate if the woman were an African-American woman, perhaps, because that would even historically be accurate. And somehow that was my way of kind of resolving some of these things that I'm finding out about my hometown and these ideas about women and class and ethnicity. And so this is how I kind of took from that Jezebel film experience and kind of created a different alternative narrative. This is an actual installation I did in Brooklyn in about 2003, which is kind of an interesting combination of Sister Gemini. All of this is trompe l'oeil. It's all drawn by hand, by me, of the office cubicle where she, you know, the genesis of the idea and the alter ego. And then all those drawings you see on the wall, all drawn in pencil. I was there for days. And they're all parts of elements from the actual website where you get a kind of backstory on who Sister Gemini is. There's this whole narrative and a voiceover. I'm telling these various stories. It's a very simple interactive piece. And then the only thing, you know, what I kind of liked about this too, you know, all of this is preside, black and white, just drawn in. And the only thing that's real is the virtual thing where you get to, you know, the colors when you actually get to the interface. And my mouse back then, Sister Gemini, you know, she has these kind of mini mouse ears, so I even used my mouse pad. I tried to brand everything. And then I also had, oops, I keep going the wrong way. I also created a comic book for her, you know, so this, you know, I'm working in the commercial world, so I'm like, okay, so there will be a website, there will be a video, there will be a comic book, and there will be installation, you know. So obviously I'm probably thinking now in terms of that idea of, you know, branding, and it's just the next section. And theme 2, keywords. Subversion, so like undermining the principles of something, sexuality, innuendo, and sublimation. So these works, this is called apothecary wallpaper. And this was done in like 1997 or 98, and I was looking, it's on a slide, I had an installation view of this where I wallpapered a whole gallery this way. My studio mate, she had, this was in her grandmother's kitchen. For some reason she had a sheet of the wallpaper, and I was like, let me stand that in. And I changed all the spice jars to antidepressants. And well, I actually have Rogaine in there, so I need some hair too. And so that was my, I like the idea again of, you know, you come in and you see something familiar, like, oh wow, how quaint. Why am I in an art gallery looking at this quaint wallpaper? And then you get up close and, you know, first on the scene of the web world, the porn industry. And so some of my friends are working, you know, for these porn sites and these kind of things, and I'm just like, wow, this is so ubiquitous. And this is like one representation that's given to women as to, you know, who they should be. And then we have someone like, I love Tolstoy, but he really, like Anna Karenina, there's a lot of moralism there. Or a favorite when I was a kid was Jane Eyre. And so, you know, again, I'm kind of working through it. This is really young work you're looking at, but like trying to work through kind of like my own conflicts with the way women are represented, you know, and like, okay, they're represented this way, and you're rewarded for this, and, you know, what all that means. And so, the first few, you know, it's very kind of literal, and then I start to kind of abstract it, because I felt like that was pretty in your face. And so these are all actual book covers. I bought the books and then created digital book covers to put over them. One other series that I'm currently working on is called non-facial recognition. They're all iPhone photos, where, you know, as soon as you download your photos now or upload them to any social network, it asks you to be able to facially identify who it is, and so this is my way of subverting facial recognition. And finally, that said, all of these different things I do, there's a great quote by Jasper Johns where he says, take something, do something else to it, right? And so, like, who knows? Like, I'm still playing with these things, you know, and Facebook and Twitter and G+, you know, read between the lines.